the first thing we're going to do is build the stilts. Again, all simple hand tools. You can build it in your garage just like I'm doing now. Consists of a couple of 1x1s bolted together, piece of plywood to hold up the foot support itself, piece of 4-inch PVC cut and bent to support your calf, and then it's got a piece of seatbelt webbing with some Velcro on it to lock your calf in, and then it's got a bicycle tire at the bottom. So first thing you want to do is grab your 1x1 pieces of hardwood, and again I would recommend using hardwood. Some people use pine, but I don't want to risk my life just for a couple of extra bucks. So I've got 1.5 by 1.5, I think I said 1x1 hardwood. We need to cut the first piece. Well, the first thing I want to do is label them. So I label the top here, and then I label this one the upper, because we got to keep the upper and the lower pieces separate. And then this one is going to be the top, and this is going to be lower. So now we got our pieces marked and we can keep them straight. So we want to take the upper, and we want to measure 25 inches and 24 inches from the top. We're going to go 25 inches and 24 inches, and what we want to do is cut at an angle. So we've got the 25 to here, and we've got the 24 there, and we want to cut it at an angle. With a handsaw, power saw, chop saw, doesn't really matter. So there we've got it at an angle, and you can see how that mimics the angle we have here. And then we want to cut the lower. The lower piece is going to be 22 inches long. So we'll measure from the top, 22 inches, and that's just a straight cut. Alright, so we get the top, the upper, and the lower, and they're going to fit together like this and bolt together. We want to drill some holes now. From the upper, we want to go from the top 1.25 and 3 inches from the top. So from the top, because this is where it holds in the PVC. You can see the angle here. So we want to make sure that the holes go in on the opposite side of the angle. So from the top, we're going to in on the upper piece at the bottom. We want to go 2.5 and 6.5 from the bottom, and that's measuring from the angled point. On the lower piece, you want to go 1 inch and 6 inches from the top of it. So we've got the lower piece, we've got the top, and we've got it marked 1 inch and 5 inches from the bottom, from the top. So 1 and 5 from the top. We're going to use the same 3/8 inch drill hole. So we have 2 at the top of the upper, 2 at the bottom of the upper, and then we've got 2 holes at the top of the lower, and they're going to fit together like this, so all the holes can line up. Again, drill bit, 1/4 inch. I think I might have said 3/8, 1/4 inch at the top, and these don't have to be real precise because you're just going to be drilling through the PVC. And at the bottom of the top, now before drilling the lower part, the holes at the top, what I like to do is line up the top with the bottom, because these do have to line up. So I will line them up in the general area, hold them down. Just put a little tick mark in there. Now we've got little holes drilled just for a guide. And we have the uppers and the lowers all drilled and almost ready to assemble. The next thing we're going to cut is the shoe platform, and that's simply a piece of thick plywood. I happen to have this multi-layer 5/8. I wouldn't use anything under a half. It is going to take some punishment side to side, and that is 10 inch by 4 inch rectangle. I'm not going to cut this for you because you know what you're doing if you're building this. And then I just knocked off the corners just for aesthetics, so it doesn't punch through any of the costume. The other piece to cut is the shoe platform support, And as you can see, that is a 4-sided shape. It's 9 inches across the top, it's 8.5 inches tall, and then it's 1 3/4 inches at the bottom. So I would measure top, put a straight line going down 8.5 inches. In the center, measure 1 3/4, and then just cut the whole thing out with a jigsaw or a bandsaw or a handsaw. It really doesn't matter what you do. So obviously you're going to need 2 of these, one for each stilt. The next thing we're going to do, since you've got the shoe platform cut, should look something close to that. And again, it's not critical what it looks like. I forgot to cut a couple corners off there, but it doesn't matter. And take your shoe platform support, and we're going to drill holes through here so it lines up with the lower and the upper holes. So as you can see, the shoe platform sits on top of the lower top, and the platform support goes flush with the lower. So take your lower, mark lower, and make sure you have the hole marked in the center there, and of course you've got the center marked on your shoe support. Make sure it is flush at the top. If you have any sort of clamp, I would clamp it and then put the bottom centered. You can feel if it's centered or not. And then I would simply take the drill just enough to mark the 2 pieces, take it off. Let's go ahead and finish drilling through those and do it on both pieces. Next thing we're going to do is drill holes through our shoe platform, and we're going to drill 3 pilot holes and then 2 1/4-inch holes. The pilot holes are to sink wood screws from the platform down into the platform support to hold it on there. And the 1/4-inch screws are going to, 1/4-inch holes are going to be to bolt our shoes onto our platforms. So measurements here are for the pilot holes is center the pilot hole side to side, 1 3/4 inches from the top or the front, as it may be, and the same thing 1 3/4 inches from the back. So this is the platform is going to be centered onto the platform support, and we're going to screw there. Find the center of your platform support, which obviously is going to be 5 inches either side because it's a 10-inch support, and go in from the edge 3/4 of an inch and drill again just a little pilot hole, a little 1/8-inch hole, so you can get a screw through there. With your 1/4-inch drill, you're going to go 1 3/4 inches from the top and from the bottom, holding it this way, from the ends, and then 2.5 inches in from the side, and you're going to drill the 1/4-inch pilot hole. So let's do that. Okay, so we've got our holes drilled for the shoe platform, and what I would do, because we only did one right now, is just draw a little box around, because this is going to be the one for the left foot, so where it's going to go up against the post. And then what you can do, of course, is clamp it and drill the same holes, but make sure when you drill the holes on this one, you flip it around, because obviously it's going to be on the other side. So the symmetrical holes are going to be okay, but the ones that are not in the middle and are at the side, like this one, are going to flip it around. So you want to have matching sets. The supports obviously are going to be exactly the same, so you can just drill right through those. Okay, what we're going to do now is dry fit the shoe support onto the lower and upper together. By now, I'm sure I added on the screen that the holes that go in the shoe support and in the lower part of the upper stilt, and the only 2 holes in the lower are 3/8 of an inch, because we're going to use some heavier hardware there. I've got a hex head bolt, 3/8 of an inch, pretty strong, 1.5-inch flat washer to go on the outside, flat washer on the inside, and a lock washer, and then a nut. So from the outside, which is going to be from the upper, I'm going to grab the upper, I'm going to go from the outside, which is the short side, put the bolt through with the big washer. I'm going to go through same holes to the lower, which of course we drilled those together so we know they fit. And then we're going to put on the support, which of course is going to be flush with the top, and put on the other washer, and the lock washer, and the nut. And we're going to put the other one on and make sure it all fits, which this does. And Then we're going to take it all apart. We're going to glue it all together. So I'm going to put wood glue here, and I'm going to tighten all the bolts, and next thing you'll see is this assembled. Okay, our next step, now that you have it all glued up, and just wipe the extra glue off with a wet rag or a paper towel. If you happen to get this all assembled in one day and want to try a walk on it, don't do it. Just wait for the glue to dry, because the glue is going to be an integral part of making this one solid piece. Next thing we want to do is put on the shoe support. And the goal of the shoe support, you've got everything marked and centered. The goal is to make sure that this hole is in the center of your lower support, so this hole in the center, and to make sure that the pilot holes, and I guess it depends on the size of the plywood you use, so make sure the pilot holes go in the center here. And we're going to use wood screws appropriate for this. And again, this is the most important one, but we're going to glue and screw this also. So make sure your holes are good. I would drill pilot holes through these pilot holes just to go into the plywood to make sure that it doesn't split the wood. Glue it all up. Use some nice outdoor wood screws, zinc coated deck screws, whatever, and make sure you go into at least a half to a 3/4 of an inch into that. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so we have the foot platform all glued onto and screwed onto the support and to the 2x2, 1.5 by 1.5. I have clamped my shoe onto the foot support, and I'm going to take a 1/4 inch drill and drill through one of the two holes. Right through the shoe. And I'm going to put a 2.5 or 3 inch flathead screw, because we're going up through the bottom of the shoe. By the way, I took out the insert first, brand new shoes as you can see. And we're going to put this, we're going to feed this through the hole if we can find it. Okay, so I popped it through the shoe. Now I'm popping it through the hole and just putting a simple lock washer and a nut on it. And we will tighten that up with a Phillips head screwdriver from the bottom and bottom of the shoe now, and the wrench from the top here. We will do the same thing now. Take the clamp off and do the same thing through the front of the shoe. As you can see, I already did that. Okay, the next thing to put on is the tire on the bottom of each stilt. I went and got a used tire from my local bike shop. They throw out 20 of these every day. You'll have to cut through with a hacksaw because there are wires around the rim edge. So I cut about an 8-inch piece. What I did was bend it down and just took a wood screw and screw in this side. I screwed in this side. I might even screw the two ends, the two sides down to make it a 4-sided. And then I will take my favorite Gorilla tape and I will wrap this. Does not have to be pretty. We're going to cover it, plus it's going to be at the very bottom. Nobody's going to be looking at the feet. So basically it's going to look like that when we're done. So do that on both stilts.